All right, ladies, now we're at the portion of the party where I'm going to take the time to show you how I apply my jamberry wraps. What you'll find out is that the most important thing in all of this is to make sure that you've prepped your nails properly. I've already done that ahead of time, but I'll quickly go through with you what I've done. I go through with my cuticle pusher first and push back all of my cuticles so it's nice and clean, because if the wrap is touching any of your cuticles, then it's not going to stay. I've also gone through with an alcohol wipe and wiped down all my nails so they're nice and clean. There's no oil or residue on there. And before I wiped even, I took a buffer block and just buffed gently over all of my nails, because that also tends to help them to stay better. I also have something that I use called pH Bond. It's pretty inexpensive. I got it on Amazon for a couple dollars. And if you have more oily skin or oily nail beds, that really helps to dry them out a little bit and help them to stay even better. So the first thing that I do is, now that I'm all prepped and ready to go, is I'm going to take my nail wraps that I have right here, and you can see it's clear. And you cut these in half so you have enough on here for 2 manicures and 2 pedicures, because with the pedicure, you'll cut these in half for your big toe and then cut these into strips for your little toes, so pedicure and pedicure. So you're going to want to see what fits best with each of your nails. For me, I already know that this finger fits best right here. And you really want to kind of err on the side of being a little bit too small rather than being too big, because again, if they're touching your skin or your cuticles, it's not going to work. So once I've figured out which one's going to match up, I'm just going to do one finger for now, and I'll finish the rest up later on. But you can see I have my handy dandy heater here, and I'm going to turn that on so it's nice and hot. And then what I'm going to do is I use my cuticle pusher to get the wrap off of the sheets. Do it so you can see. And I'll use nail scissors to cut it right off of there. And then the next thing you're going to do is heat the wrap. So put it in front of there for, it's usually about 7 to 10 seconds or so. I just turned the heater on, so it's probably not quite as warm as it normally would be. But you'll start to see it curl a little bit. And that's when you kind of know that it's ready and it's warmed up enough. It just gets real loose and pliable, as you can see right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it gently down on my nail bed. You're going to kind of look and see if it's straight. Looks pretty good to me. So what I do is I push it up through the center first and just put a lot of pressure, and then go over to the sides after. Trying to make sure that you don't have any creases or bubbles in there. Pressure is going to be the key. Pushing down. And then I usually will go ahead and heat it another time real quick. And then I'll take my cuticle pusher and I'll apply pressure with that. Nice and smooth. Ideally then, you want to let it cool off before you trim or file or anything like that. For the purposes of the video, I will go ahead and start to do that process now. I usually take my clippers and trim the excess off just like that. Now, the next thing you can do, 1 or 2 things. I keep my nails pretty short because I don't want to scratch my son when I'm changing his diapers. So what I will usually do for me is I just trim my nail, all of my nails, and take the wrap with it, and then I don't have to file at all. But if you have longer nails, you're probably not going to want to do this. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your nail file and you're going to file, you can see, at a 90-degree angle down your wrap, just like I'm doing here. And what you'll see is as you go along, the excess will just start to fall away. See how it's coming off there already? One stubborn side. that last little piece off. There we go. Then, another thing that I'll do, if you have one handy, these are great. I take a glass file and I'll go at a 45-degree angle, just real lightly over top. And that files just the very tippy edge, so you prevent them coming up and peeling later on. You can't even tell that the very edge is off of there. If you also have some ends that are sticking out, this helps get those too. And that's pretty much it. That's all that you have to do. Normally when I do this, I start with the pinky and I'll go pinky, pinky, ring finger all the way across until I get it all done. Just for the demonstration, that's how I did this here. But there you have it. Simple, easy, lots of fun. If you want to, you can always heat it one more time. Some people will take a baggie, plastic lunch baggie, wrap it around and heat it again. That gives it an extra seal. Totally up to you. See what works for you. Like I said, there are tons of different methods. If you Google, you'll find other methods out there, but this is what works for me. Hope it helps. Thanks.